continue our conversation on how living things get their energy. Last time we talked about food chains and the roles of living things. This time, we're going to talk about food webs. First, let's consider this question. Which is bigger, a chain, like a bike chain, or a web, like a spider web? If you look at these two examples, it may be difficult to see based on the pictures, but in reality, a food web has many more links than a food chain. A web has more connecting pieces. So when you think about food chains and food webs and you compare them together, think about a bike chain that just has few linking pieces and a spider web that has many linking pieces. That should hopefully help you remember that a food web has more pieces than a food chain. Typically, a food chain has 3 to 5 individuals or populations that are connecting to each other. A web has overlapping food chains. Let's dive into some of the facts. Food webs. Some animals are dinner for more than one type of predator. We discussed predator and prey last time. They're really a part of multiple food chains. When food chains overlap, we call this a food web. 2. Food webs, like food chains, can be on land or in water. Complete this food web on land, which is in a meadow. The meadow food web all starts with the sun, which isn't our producer. It's just that renewable resource that's in the sky that helps the grass, which is our producer. We know that food chains must start with a producer. So food chain could be something like, well, the grass is my producer, the rabbit is my primary consumer, and my secondary consumer is the red fox. But if you have other types of animals that then can connect to this, you have a food web, because the snail will also eat the grass, and the bird will eat the snail. The bird may also eat the grass, and so will the red fox. So within this large food web, we can pull out a minimum of 2 food chains. Grass, rabbit, fox, grass, snail, bird. So you can see the web is larger than the chain. In the energy pyramid, which is somewhat difficult to grasp or understand at times, I want you to think of a pyramid. And that's because if you're at the top of a food chain or food web, you're getting limited amount of energy from the things that you eat. Fact 1, as energy is passed on a food chain, not 100% of the energy is transferred. 2, grass uses about 90% of the energy in the process of photosynthesis to use the sun to grow. This leaves only 10% for the primary consumer. That's why those consumers need to eat a lot of grass to gain the amount of energy they need to go about their day. Remember, when a biotic part of an ecosystem receives energy, it uses some of it to live. It can't store it all. So that's where the pyramid comes into play. You see in the diagram here of this pyramid, which was also outlined in our text, the predators become larger. They're higher on the food chain. They need to eat more prey. So an energy pyramid shows how little energy is actually passed on to the top level of the food chain. So a wolf, in this example of the pyramid, must eat more than one fox to get its needed energy. And that's because it's at the top of the pyramid. That wraps up our lessons on food chains, food webs, habitats, energy, and ecosystems. Hope you learned something.